Kareem, and I'm gonna talk about actually business, employer, employee, giving you guys a little bit extra understanding on that because we've been actually, we've been actually just, I mean, struggling. You've been straight up struggling. Now, I'm gonna make sure I keep this under 15 minutes, but it might go a little longer only because it just I need you to change your mindset right here. Okay, I mean, listen, we already know that United States carved out a lot of locations of land. Okay, they carved out a lot of. If you look at the 50 states or whatever states that they actually put on paper, that was what New York, Alabama, Tennessee, California, Arizona, Washington D.C., Seattle, Washington, whichever. I know that's Seattle, Washington D.C., Oregon, Nevada, Utah, North Carolina, South Carolina. I mean, we can go on and on about these 50. I ain't gonna name them all, but when you understanding how they just carved out everything, you know, each one of these states have their own flag. Okay, now I'm not gonna get off too deep in breaking down how jurisdiction and actually how they carve things out with the nationhood and actually corporation and unincorporation, corporation souls, nonprofits. You know, you got to get down to understand how this is kind of set up, okay? So without going into extra detail, because this is YouTube, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We're going to keep it, you know, cool and whatnot, but the masses want you to know what's going on and they don't want you to know what's going on. And what I mean by that is they don't mind you starting no business, getting paper, because they get a piece of that pie. You know, state get their taxes and the federal get their taxes. Same thing if you're working in the 9 to 5. You're going to pay your state taxes and you're going to pay your federal taxes. They're going to get their pie, a piece of the pie. So, but since you don't live in a rural area, okay, rural area is when you outside of the city, okay, and they classified it as the rural area. You're like 100, maybe 150 miles away from the nearest city, you know, close food and all like shelter, and you don't have the police station, fire department, all the schools. You don't have that right at your disposal that you can walk or ride a bike or just basically jump in your car and get there in less than 15, 20 minutes. You're in a rural area. And when you classify in the rural area, you get a lot of more benefits, you know what I'm saying? But when you in the city, like I'm in the city and whatnot, like most of us in the city, and you going to do, what do you got? You got to do 9 to 5 type of jobs. You don't have to, but you choose to do that. And why do we choose to do 9 to 5? I mean, it ain't no secret. I mean, our great grandparents and our grandparents, they were actually on farms, and the food was different when they were living on the farms. They were actually growing their own chickens and you know, breeding them and whatnot, and eating those and whatnot, and selling and doing a lot of bartering system going on. The milk wasn't processed. I think my mother told me the only time that her mom or dad had to go into town was to get flour. Everything else they had on the farm. Fruits, vegetables, you name it. Meat, they had it. Did their own butchering, everything. But they lived. The average lifespan for them, your grandparents, was 92 plus. That was the average. Now it's not the same no more. And I'm saying that to help you understand that that's not too far ago. I mean, that's like your grandparents. Some of y'all still have them living today. Mine have gone on both sides of my parents, so they're not on the scene anymore. But my parents were children, and they were in the house with my grandparents, so they remember. They don't talk about it much, which ain't cool. They should teach us and tell us what happened and how this works. Because when they actually wanted to make their life better and live a little better, they wasn't really doing it. They didn't have to deal with picking cotton, or actually have to. It wasn't a lot of different types of a lot of trailers here and there, and you know different groups of people just in some foul type of poverty. We get that. But as they moved forward, let me speed this up. As they moved forward, our parents, I know my parents, they actually traveled from Louisiana and set up shop in California. And then my uncles and my aunties, they followed. Some of them followed, and they came out deep and set up shop in California, Las Vegas, you know. So, and they did it with industries. They were really booming and popping. I mean, talk to your parents. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm in my early 40s, so it ain't really, y'all should understand. Sit down and talk with them. They still alive. You know, my parents are still alive. Your parents are most likely still alive. If they are, if they're not, you know, sorry to hear that. But their generation was setting up the industries, okay? They didn't have all this technology and cell phones popping off and whatnot, okay? They didn't have all that. They had telephone poles. Matter of fact, they had the you remember as a child? Come on. So, and some of them had to share a phone with a neighbor. And when it would ring for both. Y'all need to talk to them, man. They wasn't talking to us. They were going through a time of actually just trying to make their own way, be a little bit different from what their parents had because they weren't doing the formal life type. They were actually trying to take what they learned and get a job and learn and just build something for themselves and get a home and house and everything. Now here you come along, okay? My generation, we're the ones that are offsprings of our parents. Now we got children and they next. And then they got children and they next. But here we come along, our generation. We do the same thing they do. You didn't start nothing new, okay? You didn't do like they did with their grandparents. They didn't start no farm. They went with the times. The times was industries were booming all over the place. And actually the mother could stay home and take care of the family. And then the father was making enough they could have 2 cars, 2 houses, and still be popping and everybody eating. I mean, you come from grandparents that actually had 18, 20, 16, 15 deep per family, but the same woman, same man. Come on now, you know. And then your parents had like what, 5, 6, 7? And here we are now scared to have 3. The times has changed. Inflation is booming. So when they called out all these states and they did what they had to do and then they put counties within the states and then they put cities within the states. You got people coming through carving out land within a state, calling it a county. You got people carving out cities within a county, you know, calling it a city. These are like many type of owners and whatnot, okay? They had the little money right and they set it up right, or they went out farther enough and they purchased it and they set up their little autonomy. And then people migrated there and then they started, it's like a town, okay? But you guys call it cities though. So you have to understand that. Who could be the hottest town? Somebody come there. And when you get down there, most of us have been taught from our parents to get jobs. So you've been taught to be an employee. So you've been taught to be just an employee. I was taught to be an employee, so I was an employee. And then they teach you, just don't be an employee. You got to be the best employee out there. So you're going to go to college, or you're going to go to the military, or you're going to go to the fire department, or you're going to go to the correctional. I mean, so many directions you can go to better yourself as an employee. That's what we did. But it never dawned on you to be more than just an employee. I mean, at least if you're going to go to better yourself, you're going to go up in ranks in the military or go up in ranks in the actual officer field. You're going, attorneys, doctors, you're going to actually be trying to save your people or help your people or something that you want. I mean, we all got it for all reasons, but most of us is trying to be the best employee we can be. You're forgetting about what it's going to do to make you happy, and you're giving a lot of authority over to an individual that when you're the best that you can be and you took your time and effort and your passion in your life and went this direction and you did everything the right way, they can give you the medical, offer you medical the way they want to offer you medical, depending on what type of tax bracket you're in. They can take how much money they can take from you monthly or, twice a week or monthly. They can tell you if they want to keep you or promote you or demote you. They can tell you where they want to put you and place you over here. There's too much power over Someone just, you giving your life to one company for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And you making sure you do everything right as an employee. Some of y'all been pretty successful at that. And I'm not knocking that at all and whatnot. But I wanted you to help you understand this right here. Times change. Okay? It wasn't no IDs and social security numbers around when your grandparents was around. But it was with your parents. Okay? They here now with us. But that's going to change. Social security ain't going to be popping it like it used to be. And our children and maybe a little bit in our life and whatnot. Now, right now, you can kind of see the writing on the wall on how they're going back to different standards in this. So I want you to truly understand how being an employer versus an employee is where it's at. That's where it's at. But you have been so accustomed to someone taking out your taxes, taking out your state and federal and your medical and parking or whatever they take out for you, and your social security. You're so accustomed to them doing it for you. Someone taking the time, like me, or someone else that's a lot more powerful. Several people. I'm a small business owner, but just someone that's a medium or big, or even a small one that has 5 to 10 employees. Look at the graphs that they give you with how many employees you can have depending on whatever. Those individuals know how to do what you don't know how to do. Just like when it comes to cooking food. You don't know how to cook food, so they make the food in the store for you. All you got to do is pop it in the microwave or the oven, and it's done for you. But ain't no nutrients in it. We've been so accustomed to people doing stuff for us. We don't know how to do for ourselves. So you definitely need to learn on the business side you already know how to be an employee. You got that down. Now you need to know how to be an employer. Okay? And when you start a business, you become the first employee of the business. So you're both one and the same. But you're not one and the same. What do you mean by that, Kareem? What I mean by that is that you are your personal private name on that birth certificate. That's you, okay, as an individual. The actual entity, LLC or corporation, because that's what we're talking about, has its name, okay? 2 different entities right there. One has an EIN number, one has a social security number, okay? You get that? Or tax identification number. So they're different. One has a totally different name, you have a totally different name. Now one can have an address that's different, and you have a different address. So when you actually, and you're the employee of the employer. So your business is the employer and you're the employee. So you got to do the paperwork on both sides. Why are you scared to learn paperwork? Once you learn the paperwork that deals with who? IRS. The business got to deal with the IRS. The individual got to deal with the IRS. That's paperwork involved in that. But I got to save that fire for those members and actually individuals that's going to be on that blog talk that's going to get that blast. So I just wanted to help you guys understand that you need to get with the times. Stop being caught up and being mad at what happened and how they getting down and how they treating folks and whatever. Listen, America United States is just doing business here. They got flags all over the place. It's just having jurisdiction here. You know, they just want to make sure they can have the most employees that they can here. So, they're going to make sure that they keep the employees happy so they keep working so they can keep making money here. That's all it is. And it's how you're going to make money. So they're going to move with the times, and technology is so powerful, and man is coming up with so many different ideas, and you stuck at work at 9 to 5 and stressed out and whatnot. You can't come up with no ideas or even pursue your ideas. Everybody else is just passing you by, So my platform, I like to really teach what my passion is with herbs, as well as I want to actually, they got like a little blog talk or whatever that I actually talk about the actual business side. Because it's nice over here, man. And I just want people to have that fundamental, just the basics of starting a business. And I think one individual emailed me, I'm sorry, brother, I couldn't get back to you because I get kind of busy between doing both. If you got an LLC, some of you called me in the LLC if I got this and if I got that, should I take the class? You don't have to take my class if you just know how to start a business up. That's it. I just have a like step by steps how to start it up, and I get bonus videos, and you have access to call me on the phone to get that information that you need, because everybody that signs up, I put your phone number in my phone, it's locked in. And now I'm coming out with I'm getting another cell phone just for the students alone, and people that want to call me, reach me at Force Actors in Life, so they can get that information and talk to me, and I can talk to them one-on-one. So I don't have to be worried about my personal phone versus my business phone. I'll be on the move a lot, so I need to be able to talk to y'all. Some of y'all be having issues. And also, I apologize to the new members that be signing up, and those of you that have to reach out. I'm having difficulty with my administrator, with my website, so the logins sometimes have issues. But y'all do know, once you can have issue with it, email me or call me. I'm gonna put the number right down at the link and more information. Y'all can call me. Y'all know that. Email me, and I'll actually correct that right away. So I apologize for the delays sometimes with those of you that are having difficulty with the registration, but those of you that are cool, it's all good. But those that are having difficulty, get at me, and boom, I'll correct that right away until I actually get this set up a lot better. But I want you guys to understand that when you move from learning the employee side and the employer side, paperwork. See, there's a lot of more information you need to learn with knowing how to take care of you as an employee. So you as an employee can get your money back on a 1040. You know what I'm saying? We coupled with a W-4, because you're an employee. You got to know how to pay yourself correctly. Do you want to pay yourself enough for medical? Or you want to get the tax credit to pay yourself a little? But if it go too low, now you're in that arena of Obama or subsidized medical and Medi-Cal. So it all depends how you set it up to make sure you look decent, look good. Do you want to make sure that your business make a lot of money on paper with IRS? Or do you want to make sure you make a lot of money on paper with IRS? Because if you make a lot of money on paper with IRS, you're in a different tax bracket. And so you have to be a lot creative with your actual taxes and write-offs and your return. And that's just learning the actual bit. Learn it, damn it. I'm flipping out because I apologize. Learn it, y'all. It's something that you definitely need to learn. But if you have a nice salary, you can get the things that you want to get on the individual side if you want. But if your business is building a relationship, and it's actually standing with the times, and it gets past that 2-year mark of filing its taxes in 2 years plus and having good financial records, bam, the business can do a lot of things on its own without you. So much to this business thing that I wanted you guys just to start one, so you don't wait. You start one. Then you figure out things as you go. But you will not get that history if you sit back idle and not start, brothers and sisters. I don't care who you start with. So I just made it simple when you start with mine, showing you boom, 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 understanding if you go with LegalZoom, boom, why you did this and what this is and what this is for. So you just need to start, because the sooner you start and you open up that business bank account, you registered. You on the scene. The state recognizes you. The city, the county recognizes you. The banking industry recognizes you. Now you just need to get relationships with the actual credit agencies and institutions. And there's so many institutions that want to do business with you. You just need to build a relationship. But anyways, this was long enough. I know I talked for a long spiel. I just wanted to give y'all understanding on why you need to actually start and get to understand the employer side versus the employee. Peace. This is correct.